received the information, I was like, wait a second. It took me I read it because I'm like, there's no way that Rick Sanchez, hair perfectly coiffed in a nice suit, the voice of reason, there's no way he's this guy. And then I listened to the podcast. What is going on? Tell me a little bit about how you finally came to the conclusion that they use your name.
Oh, well, I always wondered after I stopped working on CNN and thought, well, that's okay because I have a pretty big following. So, and since I was the first guy, I quote unquote pioneered the use of social media on TV news, at least according to the New York Times and NPR, who said Rick Sanchez was tweeting before tweeting was cool. I thought, well, I can get back in there now and I'm going to be able to start using this. And I'm going to be able to get a profile, an identity. I'm going to have visibility on the Googles. And when I went in there, I said, wait a minute, I don't exist. What's going on? And then I realized that over time, my name was diminishing more and more. And Rick Sanchez, the cartoon, was rising more and more. So it was almost like it was really dramatic. And I thought, well, what are you going to do? I always thought, well, it's a Cartoon Network show. Cartoon Network is owned by Turner. Turner owns CNN. So parent company, Turner, Cartoon Network, CNN. I'm a personality or whatever the hell you want to call people like me, a guy who's known on TV, who worked at CNN. Mm-hmm. And we were in the same building, and all of a sudden they come up with a show, and the lead character in the show is named Rick Sanchez. Now, a lot of people there are people who have, I'm sure, people have no clue who the hell I am because it was a long time ago, but there was a period between 2005 to 2010, 2011, can't remember exactly, but I was kind of a big deal on CNN because a lot of people were watching news back then. It was the Obama era. CNN had big ratings. I had the highest ratings in the show. I was the first Latino to do the news on CNN. I was the first person to start using social media. So I was doing really well with a non-typical CNN crowd, young people, Latinos, African Americans, that kind of audience. So, and in that span, I had developed some pretty big name recognition, or the Q factor, as they call it in the business. So when they came out with a show and they were using my name, I said, it's almost impossible for them to not have known who I was. I mean, they were of the age group, if they watched CNN, if they were watching TV, if they were young, if they were on social media, they probably knew who I was. But then I thought to myself, yeah, but big deal. People are going to laugh at you. And you know what? You're not going to be able to prove that because Rick Sanchez is a common name. And then one day, my producer, Scotty Mendick, and I were working on something, and he came across this video that I want to share with you. Watch.
Man, it makes so much sense. Something's different. Let's put on a TV set. TV. Hello, I'm Rick Sanchez. Welcome to the 7 o'clock news.
Did you hear that? Which was amazing. And you see the creator of Rick and Morty in the video, sitting on the couch, doing the spoof show. And the guy who's one of the actors in the spoof show is playing Rick Sanchez, the news guy. So that's too big of a coincidence. I mean, you can say, well, we just named Rick Sanchez out of nowhere, but now you're on tape celebrating a guy named Rick Sanchez, who is a news person. You're watching this before you started Rick and Morty. So it's almost impossible. I mean, by the way, I love these guys. They're good guys. I mean no harm. I'm not suing. I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying, please don't tell me that you've never heard of me, because that's impossible, especially in light of the fact that I got you on camera here doing a thing where you're talking about me, Rick Sanchez, the news guy, not just Rick Sanchez, but Rick Sanchez, the news guy, at the same time when I happen to have been Rick Sanchez, the news guy.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, no, that does make sense, because you're not like the character, though.
No.
I mean, there's none of your characteristics in this character at all.
No. It's just a name. It has
just
nothing
a name.
to do. Right. Correct. Yeah.
And so you asked Justin about this and he was like, just pulled it out of thin air type thing?
Yeah, he did. And I guess he kind of had to. I'm sure, he's just, doing what he probably has to do, but it's just not logical. I mean, I almost prefer they would have gone, yeah, I used to watch you. It was pretty cool. You were pretty good back then, or you sucked back then. I don't care.
Right.
But yeah, I remember you were on CNN at the time, and I used to watch you on CNN all the time. And then when we named the show, we thought, wow, Rick Sanchez, that's a cool name, because it's impossible. Let's suppose, let's just pretend you and me, Gina, and a couple of producers are creating a show. And we're sitting there, we're saying, what are we going to name the characters? Somebody says, I think maybe we should name him Larry King. And someone's going to say, there was a guy on CNN named Larry King. I mean, he was on all the time. I mean, Larry's a good friend of mine, by the way, or was. Love the guy. And we used to hang out together a lot. And Larry, and somebody, if you're working, especially in the same building, somebody at Turner Broadcasting, somebody in the Cartoon Network would say, wait a minute, guys, Rick Sanchez, there's a guy on TV named Rick Sanchez. I remember him, or he was in Miami, or the guy's a jerk, or, he worked at CNN, something. But to tell me that when they had this conversation and they named the character, not a single human being said to them, oh, by the way, that name has been used by a guy on TV.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, maybe I think too much of myself, which I don't, but sometimes I do. But it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. That's why. The video, I think, is the big, thing here. And did you tell Justin, like, hey, I got the video even? I mean, that's sort of. We contacted him. He contacted us. We said, look, come on the show and we'll talk and we'll have this conversation, and he said he was busy. He couldn't do it, but I'm going to try and see if I can get him back. I mean, look, Justin, if you're listening, I mean no harm. This can be fun. You want to have me on one of your gigs, I'll go out with you. You can come on my show. It's just a conversation. I know in that world, there's probably lawyers and PR people who are like freaking out because they think that there's I'm cool. I don't need anything other than for maybe somebody to say, yeah, we kind of knew who you were at the time, and so what? But it's cool, and I'm flattered that my name is one of the biggest names in the world of cartoons. So that's the only point I was trying to make. I'm not trying to be mean about this or anything.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's interesting. It definitely caught my eye. So that is, now, did you ever watch Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched episodes all the time, and especially when it started getting real. I haven't watched it a while because I get busy and doing news and kids and life and companies and business and stuff like that. But I think it's a fabulous show, and everybody who watches it, who talks to me, tells me that they really love this show. I mean, the people who love the show love the show, and it's funny because I live in these two worlds. In Miami, people know who I am because they've seen me on TV. But just as many people, especially young people, who don't remember me because they don't live in the terrestrial world. They only live on their, on this thing. And I'll go to a restaurant and I'll order some food or something, and I'll say my name, or they'll see it on my credit card, or they'll hear me say my name, and they'll go, "Oh my God, Rick Sanchez!" And of course, I'm like, "Yeah, Rick Sanchez. I'm the guy on TV."
Right.
You're the cartoon. You're named after the cartoon guy. And then what the hell am I going to say? Well, they named him after me. And then the kid's like, yeah, sure.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times this has happened where my wife is like, shut up. I mean, you just shut up. I mean, the kid doesn't care. He doesn't know who you are. And the story is boring.
It's funny, though. It's very funny and so amusing because this character is, not the news person I know. So that's why it's so insane. But, what's the harm of saying, we saw you and bypassing and used your name. So I don't know. Because
let me ask you, do you think it's believable that they'd never, ever heard of me?
No way. I mean,
I know that's what I'm thinking. And I thought that before I saw the video. Now that I see the video and I see him doing hi, I'm Rick Sanchez, and this is the 7 o'clock news. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, they're imitating me. And that was before they named Rick and Morty the show. So obviously he knew who I was. And that's why, that's why I say. Okay, so
now, they don't have any ties to Miami, do they?
Who doesn't?
Because I was going to say, it was consistent. You were always on my TV, the news, here you are. So it was sort of a thing that just, it was always on. So that's why I'm wondering if also they were.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me because everybody has an aunt or a brother or a family member in South Florida. And back then, like you said, and maybe some people who are watching us right now don't know this, but there was a time in South Florida where even if you were just a tourist and you happened to come to Miami to visit, you would see Channel 7 and what we were doing. It was just so prolific at the time. I mean, it was like if 100% of the population that watched TV, we had 70% of the audience. It was just ridiculous. So it was overwhelming. So if you had anybody who had ever visited South Florida, you kind of watched what we were doing at the time. And it was really different. And it was a different kind of newscast. And kind of what everybody's doing today in many ways, actually.
Yeah, no, I see the brand actually in different states of what I remember in those days. So that's pretty interesting. So are you doing news now?
Well, what I'm doing now is, and I've always been convinced that one of the things that bothers me is that we have this huge Latino population in the United States, right? We're 20% of the population. 80% of Latinos in the United States are US citizens. 95% of Latinos under the age of 41 speak English. We are the 7th largest GDP economy in the world if we were a nation. So there's all these really cool things about Latinos, but nobody knows these things. And the reason that they don't know these things about Latinos is because they all think that for some reason Latinos just, crossed a river or got off a boat yesterday and they're all sitting around watching Telemundo and Univision. And it's not true. Latinos in the United States are acculturated, they're assimilated. We're everything, well, doctors, lawyers, workers, entrepreneurs, and somehow between Hollywood and the media, that doesn't come out. And the other thing is that we're generally underrepresented. If you were to watch like CNN or Fox or MSNBC or any of these shows on any given night, what you'll usually find is that we're less than 2% of the people asked to come on and discuss topics. So I decided, you know what, by golly, if they're not going to have us on, I'm going to have us on. So together with Saul Trujillo, my partner, he and I have started a company called Cano Health not long ago with Dr. Aguilar and Dr. Hernandez, our other partners. And that went public. It's a $4.4 billion company. And we've decided now that we're going to take this funding and we're going to create a media company. It's called Agua Media. And it's going to be a place where we do programming for Latinos by Latinos kind of thing. So and we're excited about it. I think it's going to be a great thing.
Please keep us, posted on that because that is very exciting. I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So it's sort of to be continued because I feel very invested now in this story. Like I really need Justin just to say, yes, we knew who you were.
Yeah. You guys should reach out to him. I'm going to reach out to him again. He sounds, by the way, he wrote to us and I was reading his email and he sounded like a really good guy. And he said, he wasn't talking to me. He was talking to Mona, our booker. And he said, God, I hope Rick doesn't hate me. That's how he ended the email. He said, God, I hope Rick doesn't hate me. And I'm like, Justin, I don't hate you. I swear. I just thought this was an interesting story. And I really believe that somewhere along the line, you had to have known who I am.
Yeah.
It happens, man. It's okay. I understand sometimes when people have to say the things they say. I don't dislike him. I don't dislike the show. I have no angst, nothing. I'm cool.
It's fun. I think this is fun. And it kind of brings more dimension to the character and the show. So,
Yeah. And I like to get drunk and go into outer space. And I would literally love the opportunity to do that. And, hell, Gina, maybe you and I can go together. I mean,
let's do it.
Yeah. So I guess that's what he is, a drunken guy from outer space with great. He actually looks more like Back to the Future character.
Yeah. I thought that's who he was. And that's why I was like trying to put this together. So
that's been refuted too.
Okay. Okay.
I guess. I mean, I'm not an expert on the topic, but there's they've refuted whether that was actually the genesis of this as well. Somewhere along the line, we're actually going to find out where the hell Rick Sanchez really comes from.
All right. Well, being the big newsman you are, I know you're going to get to the bottom of it, and then we'll listen to the podcast and definitely stay tuned. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No, that's great, Gina. We had a good time. Enjoyed the conversation. God bless.